Tetralogue Book Review, Philosophy for Beginners Through Dialogue. Hello, philosophy enthusiasts. If you're new to the world of philosophy, you might be wondering which books to start with. I'm often asked this question on the show, and I'm excited to share with you a new philosophy book that's just been released. The book is called Tetralogue, and it's written by Timothy Williamson, a professor of logic at Oxford University. Before I dive into the review, I want to be upfront with you. I received a free copy of the book from the publishers, but I'm not being paid to review it, and there's no hidden agenda or corporate influence at play. They simply sent me a copy and said, "Hey, you might like this, or you might not." I decided to review it anyway, and I'm glad I did. The book is written in a unique format, known as a tetralogue, which is a dialogue between four people. You might have guessed that from the title, but just in case, I thought I'd clarify. Writing philosophy in a conversational style, where characters discuss and debate ideas, has a long history that dates back to Plato's dialogues. However, this approach presents a challenge, as the author needs to ensure that the philosophy is clear, while also making the characters and their setting engaging and believable. If the characters are poorly developed, they can come across as pointless or even get in the way of the philosophical discussion. What's interesting about Tetralogue is that none of the characters represent a supposedly correct point of view. Unlike Plato's dialogues, where Socrates is the main character and the audience is meant to root for him, in Tetralogue, each character has their flaws and biases. We have Zach, who keeps changing his mind, Sarah, who thinks she knows more than she actually does, Bob, who's a bit of a jokester, and Roxanne, who tries to mediate between them. As they embark on a train journey, they discuss a wide range of topics, including the nature of knowledge, skepticism, truth, and the fact-value gap. The book is divided into 4 chapters, each of which is perfectly paced. Williamson has a keen eye for the reader's attention span, and he knows when to wrap up a discussion before it gets too dense or technical. Whenever the conversation starts to get too dry, Bob chimes in with some comic relief, which helps to keep the reader engaged. For the most part, the characters are used as placeholders for different philosophical positions, but Williamson does give them enough personality to make them relatable and interesting. At times, the characterization can feel a bit forced, but that's likely because it's challenging to keep 4 distinct voices going throughout the conversation. One thing to note is that the book is a continuous conversation, which can make it difficult to follow at times. Unlike the Socratic dialogues, which often start with a clear introduction and a defined topic, Tetralogue dives straight into the discussion. However, this format also allows for a more free-flowing and dynamic conversation, which can be engaging and thought-provoking. Overall, I think Tetralogue is a great introduction to philosophy, especially for those who are new to the subject. The book covers a broad range of topics, and the conversational format makes it easy to follow and understand. So, if you're looking for a philosophy book that's engaging, accessible, and thought-provoking, I highly recommend giving Tetralogue a try. As we progress, we might touch on various topics here and there, but we'll save the deeper discussions for later. This way, you'll have a general sense of the direction and key points to watch for. In contrast, Tetralogue is structured as a seamless, flowing narrative, transitioning between positions and arguments in a way that isn't always immediately clear. It might have benefited from including brief summaries at the end of each chapter, something like, in the previous chapter, Zach's stance was labeled as relativism. If you'd like a quick refresher, here's a recap, along with a list of recommended readings for further exploration. For readers entirely new to philosophy, such additions would have been incredibly helpful, similar to the approach taken in Julian Baggini's book, The Pig That Wants to Be Eaten. On the flip side, since Tetralogue doesn't advocate for a single viewpoint, it covers a lot of ground rapidly. Ironically, in its effort to simplify complex ideas, it occasionally overreaches, tackling more than it can thoroughly address. For those with extensive prior exposure to philosophy, the book might feel a bit superficial, lacking the depth they'd expect. That's why I'd recommend it primarily for readers who fall somewhere in the middle, neither complete beginners nor seasoned experts. If you've dabbled in philosophy before, perhaps through introductory texts or classic works, you'll likely find Tetralogue engaging and well-written. However, writing philosophy as a dialogue, or in this case, a tetralogue, presents a unique challenge, balancing the philosophical content with the development of the characters. There are moments in the book where these two aspects don't quite harmonize, and they occasionally interfere with each other. Of course, this is just my personal take. Your experience might differ. Tetralogue is available at most reputable bookstores and could make a thoughtful gift for a high school or undergraduate student with an interest in philosophy. A big thank you to Professor Williamson and Oxford University Press for providing the review copy. It's greatly appreciated. That's all for now. Catch you in the next episode.